If you are writing or migrating a stored procedure to Snowflake to accomplish a complex transformation rule, there is a good chance that you need to use conditional logic, and that's what we are going to see in this video. Chapter 10 will focus on if-else conditional logic, and chapter 11 will focus on case statement conditional logic. We will not just learn the conditional logic construct, but also take different examples and understand how to debug in case of syntax error or exceptions, including some of the limitations of conditional logic while working with Snowflake SQL scripting for stored procedures and anonymous blocks. So stay tuned until the end of this video to gain a comprehensive understanding of conditional logic while working with Snowflake SQL scripting. We have already covered many important concepts in this playlist. If you haven't seen these chapters yet, please watch it after completing this video. The link for all the videos are available in the description section below. Alternatively, you can also visit my Medium blog page to find the sample SQL scripts and link for each chapter along with summary. This video will specifically concentrate on if-else conditional logic in the context of Snowflake stored procedures and anonymous block, and we will discuss all the key points listed here. So welcome back to my channel Data Engineering Simplified. I will be using the free trial enterprise edition of Snowflake on AWS for this video. You can test all the SQL script used in this tutorial in free trial edition. For optimal video clarity, ensure that you are watching this video in its highest resolution, which is 4K. If you wish, you can also speed up playback rate to 1.25x or 1.5x to learn faster. For discussing specific SQL challenges, design issues, or architectural pattern, or any other feedback or a new topic request, you can connect with me in two simple ways. Send a direct message on my Instagram or join my exclusive Facebook group. And yes, if you are a dedicated Snowflake professional looking to enhance your skill in more structured manner, explore my premium Udemy courses to conquer your fear and level up your Snowflake expertise. First, let's quickly understand the if-else SQL construct before we practice them using Snowsight Web UI. This is my simple stored procedure that is calculating bonus value based on total cells done by individual cells representative. Like any other programming languages, for example Python or Java, the if-else construct looks very simple and familiar, but there are minor differences. On line number 27, we have the if keyword. It indicates that a conditional logic section is starting, followed by actual conditional expression which is evaluated, and it should return either true or false, followed by then keyword. After that, we must write the actual logic, and each of these SQL statement must end with semicolon. Finally, we end the conditional section using end if keyword, and it is also terminated with semicolon character. We will see what happens if the semicolons are missed and what kind of syntax errors are thrown by Snowflake SQL scripting engine. We will also see different scenarios when a developer makes a mistake and what kind of error messages are thrown by Snowflake. So let's jump to our Snowsight Web UI and see all of them in action. And please remember to hit the like button if you have been benefiting from my content and if it continue to add value to your Snowflake learning journey. I am in my Snowsight Web UI, and this is my stored procedure called calculate cells bonus. It is taking one input parameter called cells value of data type number. If you look into the line number 19 to line number 21, here I have if statement. And in this if statement, it is checking if the cells value is greater than the target value. In that case, calculate the difference of cells value versus target value multiplied by 0.01, which is 10%, and then return the bonus amount. Line number 9 defines the bonus number with default value 0. Line number 12 defines sales target value as 1000 and default bonus amount is 50. This default bonus amount will be used in a different scenario. So let me create this stored procedure. It is created successfully. Now here I am calculating the bonus amount for 1500. So it will perform this calculation and it should return value 50. Let me execute this. So I got the value 50, looks good. If I call it with value 2000, let's see what happens. I got 100. Now let's pass input parameter as a 0. I got 0. The reason for getting the 0 value, because if this conditional statement is not executed, then it will return the bonus amount which having a value default 0. What if I exclude this default value 0? What do you think this stored procedure should return? Before that, let me create this. So in this case, I got the value null. One important point to note. So according to your requirement, you can design your stored procedure and your return value can be instantiated with a default value, or it can take a value dynamically and it can lead to a null value. Now, if you look into this if and else statement, here I have enclosed this expression in a bracket. What if I remove this? Let's see whether it works or not. So let me create this stored procedure again. So it says there is a syntax error, line number 16 at position 19, unexpected greater than sign. So it means that this bracket is very important. So I put the bracket back. Now what if I remove this semicolon from here? Let's see what happens. So again, I got exactly the same problem. Syntax error, line 16 at position 20, unexpected line 19. So here if I go to this line 19, this error is coming from here and it is difficult to understand where exactly the error is coming from. So I will put this semicolon back. Now what if I remove this colon character, and let's see what error does it throw while it gets compiled. So again, it is throwing the same error, line number 16 at position 20, unexpected greater than sign. So this is a challenge for us. If your conditional section is wrapping a lot of complex transformation rule, it is relatively hard to understand what mistake is happening at what line number. Now I'm just highlighting this part and trying to run as a anonymous block, and let's see what happens. Since this is taking an input parameter, I cannot declare this an anonymous block. And if I try to do that, let's see what happens. It is saying sales value is not available. So I have to define a sales value. And let's see if I define a sales value using a lit. And now I can run this block as anonymous block, and let's see what happens. So here it managed to return. So it says it is anonymous block. The value is 100, which looks good. So this is how, whether it is a stored procedure or anonymous block, as long as the variables are defined correctly and it follows a Snowflake SQL scripting grammar, this will run without any issue. There is one more scenario I would like to check it. What if I remove this semicolon from here? Let me recreate the stored proc. We have some issue in the line number 23 and it says syntax error line 20 at position 11. Now this is 23. If you're trying to focus on this line, the actual problem happened in this if section but not in this return section, and that is little misleading sometime. Now what if I remove this end keyword? Let's recreate the proc. Here also it ended with the same error saying that unexpected greater than sign. So these are the basic things as a Snowflake developer you need to keep it in mind. Now what if I use lowercase? Will it work? Let's try that out. So I recreated that. So uppercase and lowercase really does not matter. However, it is recommended to use uppercase for all the reserved keyword. Now this is my another stored procedure called calculate cells bonus 02. It is also taking one input parameter of number data type, and what we want to achieve through this stored proc, if my sales value is less than the target sales value, the default bonus amount should be fixed to 50. And here this is my variable declaration which says the default bonus amount if the input sales value is less than the target sales value. So if you look into the line number 58, which looks exactly same, here the bonus amount is calculated if sales value is less than the target value, then the bonus amount we assigned a value of default bonus amount. And if you look into the construct, here I'm using a else statement. So this is how this else looks like, very similar to any other programming language. And finally, I return bonus amount. Let's quickly execute this second stored procedure. So here again, there is a problem because I have not given a semicolon here. It says it is unexpected bracket sign. However, the problem is very different. So now I have put this semicolon. Each of this executable line should end with a semicolon. Now let's recreate it. So it is created. Let me call with a 0 sales value. So I got 50 as a value, which looks good. So even if I give a minus value, it should still return me, again, a very hypothetical scenario. A sales value cannot be a negative value, but let's run the stored procedure. So I still got the 50 as a bonus number. So this is how the if-else condition looks like. Now let's talk about another scenario where I have to use multiple if-else block, and this is my third stored proc called sales bonus 03. So there are three different targets. Target 3 gives 30% bonus, target 2 gives 15% bonus, and target 1 gives 10% bonus. So in the last part, we have seen only if and else condition. This time we will see if, else if, else if, else and if. So if my sales value is greater than my level 3 target value, difference has to be multiplied by 30%. Likewise, if it is greater than 2, then it has to be multiplied by 15%. And if it is higher than 1 but less than 2 and 3, then it will be multiplied by 10%. There are many complex transformations where you would have to run multiple if, else, if check, and then you have to perform some calculations or insert or delete operation. If you pay closer attention, Snowflake is still maturing because it has highlighted if, then, else and if, but it could not highlight this else if keyword. Now let me create this stored procedure. So it got created. And here I have a couple of examples. So if it is 5,500, let's see what result does it bring. Now let's run the first condition. So I got 1350, which matches with my calculation. If my sales value is greater than 3000 but less than 5000, then this should be my calculation. Let's perform this. And if it is 1500, let's see. Yeah, so 50, sorry, this should be 50 as per this calculation. And now if I have a 500, then default value is, let's check what is the default value. So default value is 10 here, so it should give me 10. Okay, so this is working fine. So this is how you can have a multiple if, else if condition, and then you can perform a complex transformation rule. Let's try to make a mistake here. If I remove the semicolon character and try to rebuild this stored procedure, let's see what happens. So it says that line number 18, position 20, line number 93. And let's see what is my line number 93. So if you are building a very complex stored procedure with a lot of if-else condition, you would pay attention, oh, what's going wrong here. However, the problem belongs to this place. So this is one of the biggest challenge I personally have seen with Snowflake SQL engine. It does not point to the correct line number to help a developer to fix the problem faster. Let's extend the previous scenario and try to see, can I return a value from the if block? Yes, we can do that. So this is my another stored proc. And if you look into the line number 138, line number 141 and line number 144, instead of assigning a value to a variable and then returning it, I can use the return keyword and directly return the output from this line. So let me create this stored proc. So my 04 proc is created. Let me quickly run one of the scenario. So I got the result the way I am expecting, and here you see calculate sales bonus 04. So this is coming from my fourth scenario. Now this is my fifth stored proc, where I am trying to demonstrate how you can use the nested if-else condition. From line number 168 to line number 174 is my outer if section, and from line number 170 to 172 is my inner block. So there are many scenarios where we would like to check one particular condition. If that particular condition is met, then only we will do rest of the logic execution, and that's why we need to use sometime nested if blocks. So Snowflake SQL scripting support nested and deep nested if block. There is no restriction. So here if you see, it is first checking whether sales value is greater than 0 or not. If yes, then it is performing the bonus calculation and then returning a hard-coded value. You can really replace this with this value. So let me do that. Okay. And you can return it from here, you can return it inside that, or you can also return from the end of this stored procedures. Again, while building such complex logic, you need to make sure that the code is readable. Now let's create this stored proc, and let's call this. So I got the result. If I quickly go to the query profile, let's see how does it look like. You will not find much information from the query profile. So here we have a value clause and it is calling the calculate sales bonus 5. What value is passed is also not visible here. If I click here, here also I do not see. Number of values is 1. So if I click on this value clause, it says number of value is 1, but actual value is not visible. And if I click here, this is how it looks like. And if I go to the query profile, here I can see what value I have passed, and this is how it looks like. So if your profile has the rights to see the data, you can also see the result. So in our previous chapter, we have understood how to use a query profile, and if you have not seen the previous chapters, I would request you to go and watch them. Now let's talk about keyword and or. So there are scenarios where you have to check multiple condition at one go, and in that case we know if and else condition should support and keyword or keyword. So in the line number 197, I am checking if the sales value is greater than 0 or not, followed by if the current month is equals to 1 or not. And if you see how I'm getting a current month on the line number 194, so I have declared a variable called current month, and which is taking month value from the current date. So if the current month is 1 and sales value is higher than 0, let's say that I have to return a fixed value 500, else I will calculate 10% and then I will return the value. So let me create this stored proc. So it is created. Let's call it. So I got minus 100. The reason for that, because the sales value is not greater than 0 and the current month is equal to 1, which is good. Now if I change this to 90, let's see what happens. So I got 500, which looks good. So this is how you can do that. Now in case of AND, if I have to use OR operator, how can I do that? So for that I have to use a keyword called OR. Now I will test it with 0. So first let me recreate this stored proc, and then let me call this. So this time I got the value 500. This is how you can combine multiple statement together and validate the overall expression. Can I wrap each of this expression using bracket sign? Let me try that out. So one important thing you notice in Snowsite, it will automatically recognize your opening and closing bracket, and that way you are very sure that whether you have a correct number of opening and closing bracket. And let me recreate this stored proc. So it got created and I am getting the result as expected. In many programming languages, they support the keyword and or, and they also support the character like double ampersand or double pipe sign. So let's see whether double ampersand character is supported in Snowflake SQL scripting or not. It is not supported because it ended with the same error what we have seen earlier. Can I try with a single ampersand? But let's try that out. Yeah, it got created. Let's call this stored proc. So it ended like unknown function. Okay, so this is not expected. Now what if I use the double pipe operator, and let's see what happens. So this got created, and if I call this stored proc, so let's call that. So is that uncaught exception expression error on line number 10, position this. Okay, now if I remove this bracket, And let me recreate this stored proc. And if I call the stored proc, this worked. Okay, so however, I was expecting that this should behave more like a OR operator, but it is working like AND operator. I did not find any documentation supporting this character while working with if-else condition in Snowflake. So far, we have been only seeing the number data type. However, in real life, we have to manage different data types while working in a stored procedure. So in this example, we will see how to compare a date while using the if-else block. This is my stored proc 07 and it is taking a sales value as a number data type and last sales date as date data type. And if you look into the line number 229, here I am checking if the sales value is greater than 0 and last sales date is equals to current date. In this case, the current date is coming from line number 226 and this is just a hypothetical scenario to demonstrate how you can use different operator with a different data type. If this expression evaluates to true, then it will return 500, else it will calculate the bonus based on this expression. So let me create this stored proc. So 07 got created. Let's call the proc. So I got the 500, looks good. Now to check whether it is working properly or not, I change the date to 20 and let me call this. So this got minus 99. Now let's discuss another case where my stored procedure is accepting a Boolean data type. And if you look into this stored procedure body, on the line number 263, it checks if this flag is true or not. If it is true, then it performs the calculation. If it is not true, then it doesn't do anything. And here I have hard coded the sales value just to demonstrate the behavior of different data type, specifically Boolean, because when you pass a numeric value to a Boolean field, Snowflake perform some implicit conversion, and that's what we would like to understand. So let me create this stored proc first. So 08 created successfully. Now I am going to call this stored proc with a positive value. And when I pass the positive value, in general, in other programming languages, if you give a non-zero value, it is treated as a true. Whether it happens or not, we would like to see. So for a 1, it should really return a calculated value. And if it is treated false, then it will return null because this is my bonus amount which has not got a default value. Now let's call with value 1. So I got 100. It means value 1 is treated as a true and this expression returns a true, which looks good. If I give a negative value, let's see what happens. This is also treated as a true because negative value is also a non-zero value. If I pass 0, then the 0 is treated as a false and that's what the result says. Let's pass true value. This is expected. And if I pass false, let's see what happens. It should return null. Yes, it returned null. Looks good. What if I change this to a small case? This is also treated as a false. So now when you are dealing with a Boolean variable type, and if you want to use that Boolean value directly in your if conditional block expression, this is how the Snowflake behaves. So we have covered how Boolean data type is treated when used with if condition. We also covered date data type. We also understood the AND OR keyword and how you can perform multiple checks with a single if statement. We have also seen how you can create nested if in this case we learned multiple if, else and if condition. So this is the example we also see. There are many situations where you have to perform this kind of logic. And we also understood you can directly return from anywhere. There is no specific restrictions and that we also covered in our previous chapter. And this is a very basic construct of if else and we also understood when Snowflake throws syntax error and when Snowflake throws execution error. So we simulated a variety of scenarios to reinforce our learning and got a deeper understanding of if-else conditional logic. We also understood Snowflake SQL scripting engine's behavior and examined the type of messages thrown in case of error, be it syntax or execution errors. In the next chapter, we will discuss conditional logic using case statement that will cover two types of case statements. And we will also learn when to use if-else and when to use case statement. Be sure not to miss the upcoming chapter, which will feature hands-on tutorial that is crucial for your understanding how to write effective and efficient Snowflake SQL scripting. I hope you got something valuable from this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Your support not only recognizes the work behind this free content, but also helps others to discover this playlist. And if you think it can help someone else in your team, feel free to share. Thanks for watching, and let's spread the knowledge and growth together.